Alright everybody, so this is the demo for project 2. Again, you're going to start with a sketch of a kitchen still life. I have some examples, but you can also make your own as long as you have 3 objects in it. That's what I'm looking for. We're going to be doing a limited palette painting, but don't worry about the colors and what you're looking at because you will kind of pare it down. So I'm taking up the whole page. I spent like an hour or so on this, so it doesn't need to be perfect, but it does need to be like a nice, thoughtful sketch. And this is helpful for kind of letting you know how you're going to transcribe that to your painting. So if the composition, if you end up not liking something about it, you can always change that when you're painting later. Okay, so then again, this is a box that I just gessoed over. If you don't have gesso, you can use acrylic house paint or just a layer of white paint to kind of prime it. But we're going to now just do a quick wash. So I'm taking, again, I just have some green paint that I just picked. I'm using my other demo as a palette, and you're just gonna water it down, water it down quite a bit. It doesn't need to be thick, it can be pretty thin. And we're just gonna cover this whole thing with it and let it dry, and that's the first part, okay? Okay, so basically I just transferred my sketch to this painting by just doing a very rough and quick kind of underpainting with one of the colors that you're going to use. I use burnt sienna, but you can use burnt umber, raw umber, or blue. So it's just very quick to kind of get the basic composition down. So then your challenge is you're only allowed to use a limited palette, and that's going to be a blue. This is a burnt umber, raw sienna, or burnt sienna, I'm sorry, not raw sienna, raw umber, and white. That's it. So this is a little palette I made. You can just use one earth tone, like you could use just burnt sienna or just raw umber if you want to. It's kind of up to you, but this will give you an option if you want more choices. So it seems very limited, but it's actually, you've got quite a few options. So we're gonna basically make kind of our own grays by just mixing blue and an earth tone together. So already we can see kind of this shade. And then you can add white to it. So maybe this will be a darker tone, this will be lighter, this will be even lighter. Maybe we take some of this and make it even darker. Maybe we'll take some of this and make it a little bluer. It's really up to you, and this is where I want you to start playing around, but this needs to be used almost like you would your colors, but I just want you to kind of pretend like you were using a sepia filter. So I don't really remember what the picture looks like since I'm just doing the demonstration, but you can start kind of adding these colors. Maybe a darker tone here, you know. So one of the questions is, you know, how much water can you use? And you don't want it to get so wet that I'm going to show you, like, you don't want it to be like this, like a watercolor wash where you can just kind of, it gets lost, but you do want to have some water. And so what I use is just a rag and just kind of dry it when you can, so that you have a wet brush, but it's not so wet that it's like going everywhere. And so you can start filling in your dark tones. Maybe you have a dark tone here. Maybe you have a lighter tone. Oops. You can start kind of just filling in. And usually I like to paint in the layers and let that dry. But I'm just going to show you really quickly how you can do some dry brush blending. So we're just going to take a dark color And say I want it to come here and then I want it to get lighter. And I'm painting with my brushes and I'm getting kind of frustrated. It's hard to get wet on wet to always look the same way that you want it to. So what I do is I keep a dry brush handy. This is a dry, and I'll come in here and I'll just kind of use it to blend. So kind of think of it as like a blending tool. And so you can get kind of those brush strokes. But see, like, one of the reasons why this underpainting is good is it kind of lets us know that we haven't quite done enough to cover it up. So we might want to go in with a little thicker layer of paint, but we might want to let that dry and then slowly build it up too. That's an option as well. Okay, that should get you guys started. Remember, you're only using a very limited palette, so it's going to be a challenge, but it's also good practice, and it'll kind of keep our colors restricted so that we can see kind of just the values more. But I'll try to do another demo later to kind of give you some more of the later steps of the process, but this will kind of get you going. Okay.